I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, September the 22nd, brought to you in part by Sweet Pro. Sweet Pro blocks boost fertility, improve herd health, and allow calves to gain more pounds on pasture. Use Sweet Pro blocks in your weaning program. Visit sweetpro.com. Tightening the vise, and the packers are crimping down on your cattle feeders this week. Nothing's really happened as far as fundamentals. Our board really hasn't, other than losing ground here the last 2 or 3, 4 weeks. But it hasn't changed that much between last week and this week. But all of a sudden this week, they're really cramping down a little bit, and your packers are turning up the heat and confirming some of the rumors that we heard last week. That packers were saying, now you guys think the market's tough right now, huh? What do you think we could make it if we wanted to? So no more charity bids out there, and they are backing off, and their box beef cutout values have slipped quite a bit, and tell you guys every time that's not a negotiated price. Those prices are set. They're just not, they haven't been able to move the product at the escalated prices that they've been used to moving the product at. Kids are back in school, things like that. People aren't as enjoying the luxury of buying overpriced beef like they have, over the summer and things like that. But, they just don't want to give up the $1,000 a head that they've been making. And you can't blame them, $1,000 a head, owning those cattle less than 2 weeks, that's a pretty good deal, and they want to continue to keep that deal going. But they've really cranked it up, and whenever I talk to you about what they're buying fat cattle for, although we've had just a trickle of direct trade, but how they're starting out in your fat cattle auctions and things like that, that will kind of be an eye-opener to you whenever we get to that point in the report. But the lack of confidence that these backgrounders have is just a product of what your packers are doing. And a lot of you guys, and I say you guys watch the feeder flash, you're not thinking that, but a lot of cow-calf producers think, oh hell, I ain't worried about those feedlots, those guys, they'll take care of themselves, I'm not worried about them. Well, it trickles down, guys. We've got to have minimum negotiated cash trade, we've got to have truth in labeling, we've got to have all these things, or it trickles down to where your calves don't bring enough money for you guys to make it through the year into the next. We've had yearlings bringing in the 160s, big 8 and 9 weight yearlings bringing in the 150s and 60s all summer long. If you've got some green grass yearlings, they'll still bring well up into the 150s. With prices like that, we're used to calves bringing a bigger price, your lighter weight calves especially, and we've got tons of peewee light calves available because it's been so dry up in the northern plains. We've got loads and loads and loads of them, just stampedes of these little peewee calves which we don't normally see sell. And when we do normally see them sell, they're bringing $2 and something, especially if our yearling prices are that good. But the calf market is not all that great. You get up in the northern plains, and it's just not all that on fire. And you go out west where I was at the end of last week and early this week, and there's nothing hot about your calf market. Now you have some light calves there in the Midwest where you've got a lot of farmer feeders. They could bring a big price, but we're not seeing those yet because we're in the middle of harvest right now. Likely we won't see those. They're still on the cows out there. Those guys like to sell wean calves. They're going to keep those calves on the cow, and they're going to go ahead and finish up their harvest, corn and bean harvest, and then when they get done with that, then they'll wean their calves, and then they'll sell them at the tail end of the year or early next year, and they might bring a big price at that time. But you look at those big strings of calves that are coming off, even ranch raised calves, and like I said, big long high genetic type strings of them. Your 500 pounders selling into 170s for the most part. That's not a big price. 4-weight steer calves in the 180s, and that's the tops on most of them. Now I'm going to give you one market that's up in the northern plains that beat that, this past week, but or this week on Tuesday. But for the most part, that's about all you can ask or expect to get out of your calves. Well, that's not $1,000 a head. Selling a 5-weight steer calf in the 170s is not $1,000 a head. Selling 4 weights in the 180s is not $1,000 a head. And guys, they can't hold them. They can't hold them because they haven't had enough grass to keep them till they weigh 6 or 7. A lot of guys kind of use that as a rule of thumb. If they can get $1,000 a head for their calves, it was worth keeping that cow all year. But when you're not doing that, you're not gaining ground. In fact, you're losing ground on that, and that's what a lot of our cow-calf producers are facing right now. Meanwhile, down in South Texas and New Mexico and Arizona, the border is a complete mess. This complete failure of a President Magoo that we have, it's just embarrassing. The way that he's got this country where our allies don't even appreciate us anymore. We've got just floods of aliens, illegal aliens coming across the border, and most of them are not Mexicans. They're something else. In fact, the biggest slut of them right now that's being held under that bridge there are Haitians. Right while we've got an active African swine fever breakout in Haiti. Now, I'm sure all those Haitians that are over there and sneaking across the border wipe their feet good before they come in, do you think? Let's look at the board on Tuesday. October live cattle futures down 32 cents at 122.45. Board hadn't been beat up that bad this week, and I've been telling you, it's just kind of looking for direction. December down 27 cents, 127.80. Go on your back months, and they were down just a nickel your next out, but all your back months of live cattle and feeder cattle for that much were mostly higher, but down a nickel to up 67 cents on your back months of live cattle. September feeder cattle down just 15 cents at 154.85. Still running pretty high compared to what your index or what your cash prices are right here at the tail end of the month, spot month. October down a nickel at 156.62. Go on your back months of your feeder cattle up 32 to up 62. Fat cattle trade, and this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about and what I started to report out, is we haven't seen a whole lot, but you can tell they're really going to clamp down on us this time and show us who's boss. Direct trade, we didn't see any direct trade in Iowa, which is unusual. Well, even your farmer feeders weren't interested in any of the bids that were putting out early this week, so we didn't see anything there. Nebraska, we saw one price there. We saw a string of cattle, 1,600 head at 124. Okay, I did hear rumors that that guy there in Iowa had some really nice cattle, string of really nice cattle. I mean, high choice, prime cattle, all black. Offered them at 122, could not get anybody to take them. They weren't one of his buddies. They weren't a buddy with the packer. Didn't have a deal with them, so couldn't get anybody to take those at 122. Did hear some cattle sell in Nebraska at 198 dressed. That would be towards the bottom of last week's range. Heard some cattle, pretty decent cattle in South Dakota, sell at 195. Now, you know, your mandatory price reporting doesn't get it all, and we don't have any voluntary interaction with market reporters and feedlots or packers like we used to, and so you can't tell anything by that. But how about your biggest fat cattle auction early in the week at Stockman's Livestock in Yankton, South Dakota? Had over 2,000 head of slaughter cattle. Market was $2 to $4 lower for the most part. Your conventional cattle is straight up, I wouldn't say commodity cattle really. They've got plenty of quality there, but they didn't have any bells and whistles. Sell from 116 to 122. That's not anything like what they were getting, you know, in the last 2 or 3 weeks or a month or something there. That sale, they were selling cattle, you know, right up close to 130 there just a couple of weeks ago. And even your drug-free and non-implanted cattle there, the best they could do was 119 to 124 and a quarter. So, I mean, they're really clamping down on here. In fact, I was talking to a guy that was monitoring that sale, said they had 2 loads really fat Charolais. I mean, well fed, really fat, obese, just like they want them, overfed, weighing 1670, which is on the high side, but when they got the quality to go with them, they haven't been penalizing them that bad. But those 2 loads of Charolais fat steers there weighing 1670 bring 111.50. How would you like to have raised and fed them for that? Box beef cutout values lower, hard lower. They're bounced up a little bit on Monday, but down hard on Tuesday. Choice cuts 311.37 down 429. Selects 278.01 down 274. Let's talk about what else is going on here on Wednesday at noon Central. Cattlemen's Livestock, Harrison, Arkansas, is going to be online. You can view and bid that sale. We've done a new setup with them on DV auction. They've got a newly remodeled barn there. That's been an active barn for lots and lots of years. It's in a real good address right there. It wouldn't be that far south of Springfield, Missouri, guys. But you get down into Harrison, Arkansas, a lot of good cattle, big slugs of cattle down in there too. But a newly remodeled barn with new owners. The new owner is Lyndon Judy, and he's decided to get modern and put that market on DV auction. You can view and bid that sale every Wednesday, starting to today here at noon. And don't forget, you sale barns that's got DV auction or thinking about getting it, we do feature the auto bid option. You can either manually accept that bid where the guy that's sitting at home bidding on them cattle knows that he's in, or if it's a guy that's used to buying online all the time and you've got an auctioneer that communicates with him really good, you can just use the auto bid and the screen will flash. You can take that bid and roll right on. Nobody has to be manning the post there. So a lot of guys have been wanting that, and we do have that now, and you can do either or. It's your option. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market and your sale barns on Tuesday. Real-time index on DV auction 152.03, down a quarter, and it's just keeps creeping lower and lower and lower. We're not seeing that many big cattle right now, not any true yearlings for the most part, so we can imagine why it's lower every day. Some of your big sales on Tuesday: Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri, 2,600 head in the ring. One of the lightest in-house video sales they've had for a long time. Only 200 head on the in-house video there. Usually they have about half as many of those as they do in the ring. But the market was lower, and you can figure why. It's the fall of the year, guys. Calves steady to $4 lower. Bigger feeding calves and what few yearlings they had on hand steady to $3 lower. It's gotten dry there in the rocks of south central Missouri. You're a week out from a drought all the time, and they finally slipped off into that. They did get some front come through and get some rain there, but it wasn't enough and too late to really help your grazing there. But they did note that they're getting the big temperature swings, getting down in the 40s at night and in the 90s during the daytime. It's tough on calves, guys, and it's tough on short weaned calves or balling calves right off the cow coming into the sale barn. It's hard to straighten them up, guys. You guys don't want to do it, and the guys don't want to buy them and do it either. It's easier for you to do it at home, whether around familiar surroundings there, than getting a double whammy of separation, anxiety, going to a new environment, all the stress and everything that goes with it. And you guys are going to find out. Guys that continue to just keep bringing balling calves to the sale barn in the deep fall of the year. If you want to sell ballers, start fall calving. It's a lot easier to sell ballers in the springtime than it is in the fall. And but you guys don't want to do that work, and especially you guys that's got the smaller herds. You're going to sell at the end of the sale. You're going to want to eat the manager's ass out. He can't help it. He can't choke them all. We can't choke them all in the fall of the year. And you get late, you got these big temperature swings, there's no trucks to haul them off. We can't choke 75% of our calves all at the same time every year, especially when some people aren't working and you just, we don't have hook space, pin space, or trucks to haul them off. And that's what we're into. And late in those sales, You know, those bigger outfits, it's got the bigger strings of them, especially weaned, and they all look alike and they're even, and they bring in the bigger drafts. They're going to get pretty good money. You small producers that's got balling calves, uneven, and not very many of them, then you're not going to get along very good. And you got to change your operation to fix those things. How about some other sales? Denny Rezac Livestock Commission, St. Mary's, Kansas, 2,300 head there. Market looked pretty much unevenly steady to me on the automated market report. You look right here, 788 head of 8-weight steers. They've still got yearling steers around St. Mary's, Kansas. Those 788 head of 8-weight steers averaged $875 with a weighted average price of $151.70, weighing that close to 900 pounds. That's pretty good. How about some yearling heifers? 315 head of the 7-weight heifers averaged $739 at $145.78. Nothing to sneeze at there. Market down here close to home, which I'm in the friendly confines here for a few days before go off to Oklahoma City to help sell race horses this weekend. But Lone Star Stockyards, Wildorado, Texas, just west of Amarillo right there, right on the interstate. Bill Martin's sale. He had a pretty good run on Tuesday, including 206 head of these light, mostly black yearlings out of Dumas. 206 head of them, weighed 683 at $161.85. Big time price, especially in the Southern Plains, guys. How about the quote that I was going to tell you about on lightweight calves? You get those little pee-wee calves, you get them out of the Northern Plains, about as fancy as you're going to get them is out of Miles City Livestock Commission. They had about 2,300 head on their Tuesday sale there in Miles City, Montana. And look at their market report there. The best tested weight that they had was 4-weight calves. Now normally you wouldn't see that. They'd sell later in the year and they'd be weighing 6 something. But 696 head of 4-weight steer calves in Miles City averaged 450 pounds right on the button at $190.99. Now that'd be the all-time high for right now in lightweight calves, and it really doesn't sound all that high. And you are getting the goods now. Strings of ranch-raised calves, they're all 1-iron raising right there. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday, your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Kingsville Livestock Auction, Kingsville, Missouri, West Central Missouri right there. Sold 59 head, 737 pound steers at $164. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.